Nanako is still in her senior year, 22 years old, about the same age as Aoshui. Warnya is about the same age as Charlie. Therefore, she is 4 years older than Nanako. It was reasonable for Nanako to call her sister. But Warnya was flattered by Nanako's attitude. Nanako is now the head of the Ito family, the largest family in Japan, whose family strength is 10 times that of the Song family. With such strength, she can still be so polite to Warnya and actively call her sister. Naturally, Warnya is moved and feels a little closer to Nanako. After all, it was a woman who shared a lot of topics in common, so the two of them quickly talked in full swing. At this time, Takehiko also came back. He first greeted Warnya politely, and then he said, "Mr. Wade, the ship has been arranged. To board the ship at the Tokyo container port tonight, you are really lucky. Well, internal sources say that tonight the Coast Guard's patrol is conducting equipment overhauls, so maritime supervision will be very lax, and going to sea tonight is the easiest." While speaking, Takehiko said again, "But I have also greeted the Coast Guard. If they change anything, they will not conduct any inspections on the boat you are on, okay?" Charlie nodded with satisfaction, and said, "Mr. Ito, I am troubling you in this matter." Ito said respectfully, "Mr. Wade, and I don't have to be so polite." Warnya, who was whispering to Nanako, suddenly heard this and hurriedly asked Charlie, "Shall we leave tonight, master?" Charlie nodded and said, "Let's leave by boat tonight." Warnya's heart was tense, and she hurriedly asked, "Master, has something happened in Oru's Hill?" Charlie didn't tell her about Tianming and Honor's medicine for Father Song, so he smiled slightly and said, "Don't think about it, nothing has happened. But I want to take you quietly without disturbing anyone." Warnya nodded lightly, and said gratefully, "Thank you, master." After speaking, she looked at Takehiko and Nanako, and bowed slightly. "Mr. Ito, Miss Nanako, thank you for your help and care." Nanako hurriedly said, "Sister Warnya, don't be so polite with us. Don't forget that you are my elder sister. We are also good sisters. From now on, this will be your home. If you come to Japan anytime, please stay at my home." With that said, Nanako looked at Charlie again, and said with dismay, "The same goes for master. Please remember that this is master's home in Japan." Charlie nodded slightly, smiled, and said, "Don't worry, I will remember." Takehiko hurriedly said, "By the way, Ms. Song doesn't want to cooperate with Nippon Steel? Do you want me to call Watanabe over and let him sign the cooperation agreement with you first?" Warnya was speechless in surprise. Charlie took the lead at this time and asked, "Is this person highly credible? Will he disclose Warnya's situation to the outside world?" Takehiko promised, "Mr. Wade can rest assured, Watanabe is absolutely reliable. I will tell him to keep secrets strictly and he will not talk nonsense." Charlie nodded. "Well, in that case, please I ask Mr. Ito to ask him over for me, and sign the contract tonight." Warnya hurriedly said, "Master, is this appropriate?" Although she also wanted to win the Nippon Steel's cooperation agreement, this operation was not a normal business cooperation negotiation at all, but completely used Ito's favor. She was very worried that Charlie would owe Ito for her. She is too emotional. Charlie smiled indifferently at this time and said, "You don't have to worry about this matter, I will make the decision." Warnya wanted to say something, but after thinking about it, she gave up. She knew that she already owed Charlie too much. Anyway, her life and heart belonged to him. As long as he nodded his head, her body and even the entire Song family could belong to him, so she didn't need to care too much. How much does she owe him? Charlie remembered one thing, and said to Takehiko, "By the way, Mr. Ito, I have to trouble you and do one more thing for me." Takehiko hurriedly said, "Please tell me." Charlie said, "What's the name of the vice president of Nippon Steel who docked with Warnya?" "Hashimoto, right?" "Yes." Ito nodded. "It's Hashimoto Kinsey." Charlie sneered and said, "You send a few ninjas and tie them to me, but don't send them here after you've tied them. You can get me to the dock directly, and then put them in the cabin. I will take him to Oru's Hill." Takehiko said without hesitation, "Okay, Mr. Wade, I will make arrangements." Although Hashimoto Kinzen is an executive of Nippon Steel, he can be regarded as a man of good looks, but he is still far behind the Ito family. He usually takes a driver and 2 bodyguards at most, but he certainly can't afford a ninja, such a top Japanese existence, so sending a few ninjas to tie him is absolutely easy. Takehiko arranged both matters in an orderly manner. He asked his family's ninja to immediately tie up Hashimoto, and at the same time he called Nippon Steel's chairman Shinwo Watanabe and invited him to talk at home. Although Watanabe was the chairman of Nippon Steel, he respected Takehiko, and drove over immediately when he heard his call. And the two lived very close, so 10 minutes later, he had already arrived at Ito's home. As soon as Watanabe entered the door and saw Takehiko, he hurried forward and said with a bit of humility, "Brother Ito, I don't know if you are looking for me so late, what can I do for you?" Takehiko smiled slightly, and said playfully, "Calling you over so late will not delay the world of you and your wife?" Watanabe smiled awkwardly, his expression a little lonely. Although Watanabe is about the same age as Takehiko this year, and his physical condition is relatively good, only in the matter of men and women, there is something unspeakable. He didn't know what was going on. He was good everywhere, but his ability was getting worse and worse. Originally, he and his wife lived together at least 3 times a week, and the two were considered harmonious. But in the past 2 years, the desire and ability in this area have plummeted. From 3 times a week to once a week, once every 2 weeks. Now, he has reached a month and it is difficult to have a state once. Watanabe has been to many hospitals and looked for many experts, but the feedback they gave is that this ability is sometimes irrelevant to the overall condition of the body. Some people are obviously very healthy, and can even be said to be very strong, but that's not enough. But some people look at the wind as they fall down, but they are incredibly strong in that respect. Physical fitness cannot be equated with that ability. Moreover, the ability in that area is also very troublesome to treat. Some are physiological degeneration, some are neurological degeneration, and some are psychological degeneration. All in all, if something goes wrong in this regard, no matter how rich it is, it may not be cured. Because of this, Watanabe was only troubled by this incident, but he was ashamed to tell others about this incident, so Ito didn't know anything about it. However, Charlie saw the melancholy between Watanabe and his expression, and then carefully looked at his expression, and he knew the situation well.